So we're here at Agile 2008, and I'm talking with Artem, and one of the attendees at the show. And how have you found the show so far? It's been educational?
Well, it's just great, and it is useful.
Yeah.
So there are both exciting sessions and useful sessions, and often there are sessions that are both exciting and useful. And I participate also in a research track. It was quite nice to see the progress on the research on what this all this Agile means, meaning something backed with academics and well, just some research that is backed by serious proofs and academic quality background.
Sure. So is this the first Agile show you've been to?
No, I think it's third or fourth, so
Yeah.
well, it depends on how you count.
Sure.
And if you, it should be a big number if you count all the small seminars.
Oh, right.
I'm in Agile for 3 or maybe 4 years. I didn't really count. It all started. It all started with one small seminar in Finland in 2005, I think. Yes, so then it's 3 years. There was Craig Larman and Vasco Duarte from Finland, F-Secure, and some local company called Reactor Innovations. And they were telling about a little bit about the history of Agile, about Scrum, and it kind of made sense.
Sure.
So I came back, we started trying something, and it kind of worked, and that made me even more interested.
Sure. Well, since you've been kind of involved in Agile for a few years, how do you see the pace of Agile adoption in your organization and other companies that you've been involved with and talked with? It seems like it's kind of growing at a greater pace now.
I wouldn't like to go into a lot of details about my particular organizations, but about the whole industry and especially the telecom sector, where I understand a little bit better. I think that Agile definitely becomes a mainstream.
Sure.
It's not exactly mainstream in the sense that everybody applies it for real yet, but it's a mainstream enough for everybody to say that they apply it, or if they're not applying it yet, that they're going to apply it very, very soon.
Sure. Seems like we won't very soon be talking about whether or not we're doing Agile development or not. We'll be doing development and...
Yeah, of course. On one hand, it's actually very good to see that nowadays all this Agile, Scrum, XP, DSDMs, and the crystals, they're not seen as something fancy that developers invented for themselves. On the other hand, when everybody has to do it, there is a risk, and sometimes it realizes that it becomes just yet another buzzword. Manager says you have to do it, okay, you say you do it, and sometimes you do it a little bit, and sometimes it happens that you do wrong bits, and it becomes even worse, or at least not as good as it's supposed to be.
Sure. So you talked about management a little bit. Have you seen kind of the role of management change, or should it change when adopting Agile?
That's an interesting question, actually. So on one hand, I think role of management should change, definitely. It should become more coaching role, not that much of a control freak or whatever. But well, a good manager should empower the team and command when it needs to be commanded, but well, when the team isn't that proficient in the method yet, for example, but it should support it and coach. On the other hand, I think that good managers were always like that, and whether you can turn bad managers into good managers, that might be a little bit beyond what Agile can offer.
Sure. What do you think about the tool vendors? How do you think the tool vendors could maybe change or adapt a little bit to foster the adoption of Agile?
I'm a long-term tools opponent. Whenever possible, I prefer using cardboards, move physical things, be able to destroy story cards, etc. When it's not possible, I prefer as simple tools as possible, such as Excel. However, on this conference, I went through the tool vendor booth, and it looks like tool vendors eventually became comparable with Excel. And some tools are even a little bit better than Excel. That's good. On the other hand, I haven't seen a single tool that satisfies exactly my demands. There are always many features, some of which I need, but most of which I don't need.
Sure.
And a couple of my favorite features are always missing.
Right.
Always different ones. So it starts looking a little bit like with Microsoft Word. Everybody uses just 5% of it, but different 5%.
Exactly. If you could select the pieces of it that you want, that'd be very nice, and pay for them.
That would be great if tool vendors started working on different profiles, and maybe they could make a stripped down versions of their tools for this style of Scrum, for that style of Scrum,
Sure. Yeah. So I know you work for a pretty large organization. How do those types of teaming tools or lack of tools, does that really scale well for large teams, or do you?
Which kind of tools?
Well, you're saying instead of using tools, using cards.
Well, my particular department is a little bit separate from the huge organizations,
Sure.
so we are using what we think is useful.
Okay.
I wouldn't like to name the tool names.
No.
On the other hand, many departments in my organizations are like in my company are like this. We do have a couple of recommended tools, and one of which is really recommended. But in the end, each department or even team is more or less free to use whatever they want. It's just easier to use the things that are already recommended, because we already have licenses bought, and you don't have to care about all this accounting stuff and come in for approvals. So we do use tools, but these are not exactly tools that integrate the whole company. It's more on the team level, on the large team level, let's say it this way.
So I think you probably have a distributed development going on as well too. How does Agile play out in a distributed environment for you guys?
Well, distributed development is quite difficult, whatever process you use.
It's true.
It's a little bit easier with Agile, but not that much in the sense that it's indeed easier. It's easier in the sense that you see the problems much earlier, and then you're able to react on them if you have enough determination, of course.
Sure.
But technically, all that you can the way how to deal with distributed scene is to synchronize as often as possible, as much as possible, using continuous integration, video conferences, always open Skype channels, physical visits. So the better you synchronize, the better you share information, the better.
Sure. So any predictions for the future? Where do you see the pace of Agile adoption continuing, or?
I think it will continue. It will deteriorate as well, and it will be more buzzwordish because everybody will just have to say they are doing Agile, whether they are doing it for real or not.
Sure.
And it might become more difficult to distinguish between companies that do it well and between companies that just say.
Sure.
On the other hand, there will be more companies that do it for real, and
That's true.
Should be more fun to work.
Yeah.